Just a minute.
This meeting is being recorded.
Yes.
Okay, in the last chapter, we have seen, in the last chapter of chapter 7, we have seen that Sri Krishna, in the shloka number 30, Sri Krishna introduces Arjuna to many new concepts. And now with this background of new concepts, the chapter 8, which is also known as the Akshar Brahma Yoga, or the imperishable Brahman, this chapter begins. So right at the outset, Arjuna asks a total of 6 questions to Sri Krishna. The questions are as follows: what is Brahma, or the absolute? What is Adhyatma, or the spirit? What is Karma, that is action? What is Adi Bhuta, or the matter? What is Adi Daiva, or the divine intelligence? And who is Adi Yajna? And where does he dwell in the body? To all these questions, Sri Krishna gives Arjuna a deeper understanding of the working of the universe and how they coincide with rebirth and freedom from the cycle of rebirth. Sri Krishna tells Arjuna that the supreme, indestructible, the sole source of entire universe is Brahman. To his second question, the one's own self, the individual soul, is also called as the Adhyatma, which graces all individual bodies as Atma or self. The creative strength behind every active intellect fulfilling itself in creation is karma. All perishable objects are Adi Bhuta. And in contrast, the imperishable Purusha presiding in all, manifesting his presence through the organs of perception, that is the Janendriya and the Karmendriya. A perception of actions is Adi Daiva. And finally, what is Adi Yajna? Adi Yajna is Lord himself, the invisible spirit behind all the selfless actions performed in the Yajna of the spirit. That is why it is said that all our actions should be like the selfless Yajna, and we should surrender it to the Lord. The fifth verse is very important, and it is also known as a memory verse. It is also, asked to memorize, which we must always remember. I'll just say the fifth verse. Ananta kale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram yah prayati sa madbhavam yati na statra samshayaha. Here Sri Krishna says, whoever departs from this body thinking of him alone, even at the time of death, shall attain him. And there is no doubt about it. So here I'd like to give a reference of a small little story of Ajamil, which is from Bhagwatam, that is the 6th canto of Bhagwatam. Ajamil was basically a very pious soul, but then he becomes padabhrashta ho jata hai, and he falls into bad company. He marries a prostitute, and then he gets involved in the material world. He's got lots of children, but his last child, he names him as Narayan. So when he was dying, he was just still so much into his worldly life. So he keeps on saying Narayan, Narayan. And then the story is like this, that the Yamdoots have come, and even the Doots of Narayan has come. So they have a fight between the Doots, the Yamaduta and then the Doots of Narayan. They said, he has called Narayan, so you cannot take him. So the crux of the story is that even the most sinful person, if he takes the name of God, at the time of the death, he is redeemed. So again, I'll repeat for the benefit, like to make this verse more impactful, I'll repeat it once again. Ananta kale cha mame vasmaran muktva kalevaram yah prayati sa madbhavam yati nastyatre samshayaha. Didi, I made a mistake, I know here. Excuse me for that. So verse number 6 again is very important verse. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam. Just a minute. Yam yam vapi swaran bhava tyajan tehi kalevaram tam tameva vetti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavataha. So here Sri Krishna is telling, oh Arjuna, whatever thoughts are going in your mind at the time of the death, you will take the birth as per your thoughts. So as you think, so shall you become. So Arjuna, so what Sri Krishna is trying to tell over here, that Arjuna, it's best you keep on thinking about me, and doubtlessly you will reach me. Then again in verse number 8, Sri Krishna explains the qualities. Now Sri Krishna is telling him the qualities of Purusha, the Brahman, to Arjuna, and he tells him and how to reach him by way of practicing yoga. So there are some very difficult processes given of yoga, like how you should concentrate between your brows and all. So Krishna is telling him lots of things, which he has told him through the starting of Gita. You have to do yoga this way, that way, that way. And then he says, but the crux of everything is that you have to have a very steadfast devotion to him, and you should think. And when you have a steadfast devotion, when you meditate, obviously you meditate at your Ajna Chakra. Then Sri Krishna is again telling Arjuna about how the Brahman is, Kavim Puranam. Here again, I would like to mention that verse number 9 and verse number 13. These are the two verses which have been selected from chapter 8 to be part of the Sapta Shloki Gita. So Sapta Shloki Gita is out of 700 verses. They have picked up only 7 verses, very important 7 verses. And chapter 8 has 2 of them. So verse number 9 is, here he says about Kaving Purana Manusha Sitaram. So this complete verse, he says that who meditates on the omnipresent, he is speaking about the qualities of the God. He who meditates on the omnipresent, all-pervasive, effulgent like sun, the supreme Brahman, will no doubtedly reach to him. And in 13th verse, which is again a part of the Sapta Shloki Gita, Om Mityeka Aksharam Brahma Vyaharan Mamuno Smaran Yav Prayati Tyajan Deham Sayati Paramam Gatim. So again here Shri Krishna is illustrating the importance of continuously uttering the word Om. So again we have seen that all our mantras, they start with the word Om. So that is the importance of Om is the literally a representation of Brahman. So he says if you say Om also at the time of departing, you will definitely reach me. Then in verse number 16, Shri Krishna tells Arjuna that who takes rebirth and who doesn't take rebirth. So now here he is trying to tell him the realms of the Brahma Loka. So Krishna, the realm of Krishna is much higher than Brahma Loka, but whoever reaches Brahma Loka, they are subjected to the cycle of birth and rebirth. And the soul which attends the Loka of the Krishna doesn't go for again the cycle of birth and rebirth. Now in verse number 17 and 18 and 19, Shri Krishna is talking about the yugas, the Mahayugas. So here he is speaking like he's speaking about how the universe comes into the play, how the life comes into the play. So here he's speaking like one Mahayug is made up of many thousands of years. It's unimaginable time. So that is one day of Brahma, and equal number of inimaginable of time, like you cannot even imagine that time. That is one night of Brahma. So during the dawn, that is the dawn of Brahma, all this life starts, like we all emanate from Brahma's body. And this goes on for one long stretch of time. That is one many thousand yugas it goes on. Thousands and thousands of years. We are taking birth and rebirth, and so many things are happening. And when the night comes for Brahma, again we get dissolved into his body. So this whole cycle is keeping on going. So again Shri Krishna here, he's trying to impress upon Arjuna that do you really want to go into this all cycle of birth, rebirth for thousands of years of Brahmas, one day, one cosmic day, one cosmic night. So he's saying the best thing is that you can get rid of all this drama which is happening by concentrating on my name and the way you leave your body when you think of me. So he's again trying to tell Arjuna how you can come out from the cycle of birth and rebirth. Then again in verse number 25, Krishna is telling Arjuna about the times of leaving the body. So here, before I go a little bit into this, I'll tell a small little story. We all relate with it. It's in Mahabharata that we all know that Bhishma was killed on the 10th day of the war. And he didn't leave his body, and we all know he left his body at the time of the after Sankranti, that is Uttarayan. So because Bhishma was aware of this fact that when you leave your body during the Uttarayan, that is the upward, the northward journey of the sun. you go to the Brahma lok and the higher loks where there is no rebirth for you. And if you leave your body during the downward journey, that is the Dakshinayan, you tend to go to the Brahma lok, and there you have again the cycle of birth and rebirth. So Bhishma didn't want to get into this again cycle of birth and rebirth. So he had that capacity to hold on his life, Ichha Maran Shakti thi unke paas. So he stays on till the sun comes to the Uttarayan's journey. So that is also some concept which Sri Krishna is telling Arjuna. So here we have seen this. And now in the last part of it, Sri Krishna is telling, he has told everything to Arjuna now. And in the end, in the last verses, that is 27 and 28, he tells Arjuna that a yogi who is aware of all this knowledge, when to leave, why you should get out of the cycle of birth and death, what is the time to the leave, how you should leave. So if a yogi who knows all this knowledge will definitely not care for this worldly matters of sacrifices, austerities, and tapas and all he will do is just think of the Lord, meditate on Lord. And on that note, he ends this chapter, that is the Akshar Brahma Yoga. Jai Shri Krishna. Om Shri Krishna Arpanastu.
Beautiful, Didi, beautiful. Didi, what are those Sapta Shloki Gita? Shloka like 2, you said it was in 8th Adhyay?
Yeah, that is 9th and 13th from this chapter 8.
9th and 13th?
Yes, Didi.
Your voice is breaking.
We'll take Naveen.
I cannot hear anyone.
And now?
Yes, one
Didi.
last thing, as per me, I'll actually call this chapter as the Raj Guhya Yoga. In fact, this gives, it is giving you more insight of how you should live your life on this earth.
Very nice explanation. And really, I was very much curious about this Akshar Brahma Yogonam, Raj Vidya Guhya Yoganam, and this was in my mind, like the shloka which you were telling about, oh, Mityeka Aksharam Brahma. I really wanted to go this shloka because we have seen Tasya Vachaka Pranamaha. So it's like Om. So here also it is written Om Itye. So I think it is Om Ityeka Aksharam. This is Om. I think so. Like the sandhi of this will be Om Ityeka Aksharam. If you know, you can definitely tell me. Is it right?
No, I'm not an expert in this field, Didi, on the sandhis.
Okay, no problem. But really,
Om iti aksharena.
Okay, means it was like that only. Om.
That is the only word.
Yes, and this is why I related to that only. That Tasya Vachaka Pranamaha. The name God which we want to recite is Om.
Right.
Okay.
Om
Like
represents
the
Brahman.
the nad which was created, the first nad which was created was Om. So like we say, this is the nad, the swaroop of God, Om. So you should like meditate on the word Om.
Perfect, Didi. Beautiful explanation. Beautiful, really. So it was all totally upon the 8 questions.